We're in Muncie in Florida. Look at that. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to start right now let's continue where we're up to.
I think we did finish.
No, I think we did also. I don't know why you have it over here like this.
This is the page marker, and that's
that's what I thought we were up to.
Yes.
I thought you were over here. Okay, a person is allowed to make, again, the Chol Hamoed, a person is allowed to do a Maisa Hedyet. He's not allowed to do a Maisa Uman unless it's Ochel Nefesh or Tzorech Haguf, and then you're allowed to do even a Maisa Uman. What is called Ochel Nefesh? What's called Machshiri Ochel Nefesh? So we already discussed last week the concept that something which has to do, that makes the food better, so to speak, that's going to be called Ochel Nefesh. And I would say that probably the most extreme of those things which I saw, I would say as a chiddush, is that Rav Nissen Karel, it says a refrigerator is Ochel Nefesh because it makes your food cold. Now, I was very surprised because from my point of view, there's almost nothing that you keep in the refrigerator that it has any positive effect on it. The purpose of a refrigerator that we use is should retard spoiling. We don't put our vegetables in the refrigerator to get them cold. We don't put our cheese to get it cold. We don't put our milk to get it cold. We put it there so it shouldn't spoil. Now, your soda, that you put inside to get it cold. But how much is soda a major player? I'm not really sure. You understand? But Echshahu, that's what it says, and my ha'ara on him is that I don't think that that's not your refrigerator or your freezer meant for. Yes, if you made ice cream, so you want to put it into the freezer, not to keep it fresh, but because that's what makes it ice cream. But no, it's be'etzem. I say that it's a chiddush of this, and I'm not sure that I agree with the chiddush. Perhaps I don't understand it, but Echshahu, that's what it says. So now we're going to discuss making a fishing net in order to catch fish. Is that Ochel Nefesh? It doesn't make your food better, it just gets you into the supermarket, right? No, there's nothing, it's not on the food processing line, it's just without that you don't have any food. So that's not enough. It has to be something which is positively affecting the food quality, the food readiness or something like that. That you're allowed to do it because it's Chol Hamoed. You need to have fish, right? That's Chol Hamoed. Now I just will tell you the honest truth. I have no idea how you make one out of arovas and how you make one out of chutim. I'm not really a fisherman, I guess. At least definitely not an old-fashioned one. And so one is obviously my soul, one's not. I have no problem with that because I don't know what either of them are. The next thing is a fascinating thing. Anybody who was ever zeicha to be by a Chassidish Rebbe on Chanukah saw the Rebbe macht knoten. You were ever by Rebbe Shetish on Chanukah? The preparation?
No, when he actually,
No, he actually preparation, when you saw him making the wicks? No. You're only a half Jew. That doesn't, count as a whole Jew if you didn't see the whole process. I've seen it by different rabbis. It's a fascinating thing. I haven't seen it recently, but it's, it all goes in, and that's an avodah. And Sachako, what they do more or less is they take cotton from a cotton wad, pressed cotton, and they rip off a piece and they roll it into a wick. I would not have thought that that's some kind of a professional thing. I used to do it for Hanukkah all the time myself, and I never thought myself a professional. I know that if you would have seen mine, you'd have also known that I'm not a professional, right? But Echshahu, this is what it says: Mutar l'saken apsilus l'neiros b'chol hamoed, d'maisa hedyihu. Let's see. D'maisa hedyet, v'lo avi b'chal machshir Ochel Nefesh. Making the net is not machshir Ochel Nefesh. K'motana v'saken, d'mutar sham afilu maisa uma mishum d'lei mikre machshirin el davar ha-machshira la'achila, as is something which makes it. I don't know how we said it before. It makes it, improves it as far as its edibility. Kitano adeha afika v'saken adeha shchita mash'en kein bereshtot. Man, these things, it doesn't make it better; just gives it to you. L'saken apsila l'tzarech hamoed v'yesh machmirim b'zeh. And some say you're not allowed to make wicks on Chol Hamoed. Va'af ligdol tzemer gefen the love shazor gam kein yesh lizor milasas mikoydem. Person should make it in advance. Va'ay b'chayadam agav. I just mentioned over here that Rav Zalman Baran, for those things, Rav Zalman Baran, one of the Barans, he did not cut toilet paper on Chol Hamoed. He prepared all of his toilet paper beforehand, just like Shabbos. Why? We don't really appreciate fresh cut toilet paper more than it being pre-cut, and it's perhaps a malacha. So if you could avoid it, you should avoid it. Chol Hamoed, you're not supposed to do. Your wicks. Ochem b'dieva mutar ligdol tzavur gafa, and you're allowed to roll it. V'chein b'berkei yosef kasev the minik posher lahatir. That's accepted practice. The Birkei Yosef says this a lot of times. I would just like to take this moment to say what he's saying. He's not arguing on the halacha. He's saying the assumed practice is like the mekilim. Right? He's not a machriya. He's just telling you that this is what's done, and that's for that. Could be that's also hachra, but it's not coming from a sugya that seems to be the right way. You have to smooth it out. I don't really know. When we were kids and we made candles, all I did was stuck the wick in, and you pulled it up and put it back in. You didn't smooth it down. That wasn't how you did it. But I was not a professional candle maker. Goes together with my wicks. Okay, ukadaima shenogim heter l'tzarech hamoed l'maisa, they do it. Akal l'shoynoi u'primagod mashma diyesh lizor b'zeh. So here we have a question of tzarech hamoed, and this is really a important question for all the bikiyim over here. From the big, what I call yeshiva shahaks in today's world, you see, we are creatures of habit, and we're stubborn. We don't like to change, and that's from our milas. But not necessarily does everything get changed. As I told somebody on the phone, I use an air conditioner even though my great-great-grandfather never used one. I don't think he would have any kindness on me either, right? So, right, that's understood. There was no such thing as lighting like we have today. When I say there was no such thing, meaning to say a zillion candles in here wouldn't do what we have here right now. It's a whole different experience. We really live 24/7, and that was not shaykh, even with the best of torches and flickering candles. I challenge anybody here in this room to learn an hour and a half in a room full of lights of candles. Get a headache and you'd run. So the big problem is we light Shabbos candles and Yontif candles because this way we could see. I'm willing to say that there's nobody here in this room. I don't think anybody here works in lighting, right? Perhaps if you worked in lighting, that would be able to tell you if there are 2 candles burning here in a corner. It's just not. So the question becomes, why is it mutter on Yontif to light candles? Because it doesn't do anything. And even that which a place can say for Taisus or you're allowed to do it, it's questionable if today we have Taisus or. In other words, if I'm going to have put 2 candles on over here, do we have Taisus or? So this is a problem. How are you allowed to light candles altogether? And this needs to be explained. Maybe we'll learn Hilchos Yontif one day. We'll discuss it more in detail. But the problem is to have light is a tzarech haguf, and having light is for tzarech haguf. Personal tzarech haguf is just as mutter a ma'isa uman as achila. Achila is also a tzarech haguf, by the way. It's one and the same. So the question is, why are we machmer on lights? Lights we should be mekel. When there's this question, the Shulchan Aruch missed out ki'ilu on an obvious heter, and there are those who deal with this issue. I'd rather leave it as a question than say very fine chilukim, but the question should be mentioned at least. Anyways, well, you already see that there are those that are mekel, so we already understand that there's room to be mekel because there's a back door out of this whole question. Okay. Next halacha. Misargin there's weaving and crocheting. I think I got that right. Right? What's crochet? Crochet is, for simple sake, I would call it like the end of a Teimani's talis. You know what I'm talking about? This Teimanim, this is all important because it's a very big halachic shayla. How do I know all these things? Because it's negei halacha. Teimanim have this like lattice work, beautiful. I don't know how to call it. Yeah, either you know what I'm talking about or you don't know what I'm talking about. We have fringes on the end of our talesim. They have those fringes, like extend 2 or 3 rows of them. That's basically what it looks like. What?
I've seen them,
like
but
a
now
net.
I understand.
I don't know how to describe it.
Net, kind of.
Looks like a net. So that's like called crocheting. Crocheting is when you have, I think that this is correct definition. Crocheting is when you have like a knitting, but a knitting with holes and designs. Not like kippah sugad. That's just knitted. It's not the tightness of the stitch. It's not just what. It's not a knot. It's not a knot at all. It's not a knot at all. It's like you have a lace tablecloth. Let's start with that. What is that? What is that? What's that called? No, but the act of creating that. Anyways, this is what's called sriga. Ukeina riga. Ela shesriga yesh revach ma ben chut lechut. It has some kind of a spacing that makes it a different. It's not just a loose stitch. It's a different way of creating an item. So, you cannot put the they did not have box springs in the olden times, and they would have what I understand is something like when I was a kid, we had lawn chairs, and the lawn chairs had these plastic weave belts that you would weave them in and out, and they'll go over to the side, so there would be tension on the side, and they were screwed in on the bottom. Do you know what I'm talking about? Dr. No, Dr. Cohen. Yes, no. Okay, well, this is... Okay, fine. But I don't know. There's a certain... If you know...
It's like a cross. It's like a cross.
A beach chair is one piece of material.
You're talking about with the cross stitch.
Yeah.
White swaths of something.
Yeah. Like belts that go through. Anyways, lo mishaneh. That's how they used to make the underpinnings of a bed. In other words, you didn't sleep on a... okay, I don't know. I've seen they have like a one piece of material ones. I don't know if I've seen it like that. Anyway, what?
They have some of the sukkah beds like that.
Sukkah beds, okay, fine. Anyways, that's what we're talking about over here. You can't attach it. This is also, I'm going to skip the halacha, the details not really so relevant for us. Mutter l'mayach big day pishim.
He's not speaking.
I can't hear him.
What's the point of information?
Maybe on
Please talk. Please talk. Yes.
They didn't have mattresses. They had straw. And underneath the straw they were rope. And the straw, and that's how they slept. So this expression, keep tight. You have to tighten the ropes in order to be able to, so it should be tight. It should
Wrap around the straps.
tight.
Good night, sleep tight.
Can you plug the headphone or you know the purpose?
This is the only way I can do it.
There's a feedback.
Thick rope.
It comes from you.
Okay. All right. I am enriched. Thank you very much. Okay. But that explains exactly what we're talking about. All right. Anyways, the next subject over here, again, it's hard for me to explain this, but I'm going to explain it. I'm going to have to take a step back and go into Hilchos Shabbos. When a person has a pressed shirt, the shirt looks cleaner. Why does it look cleaner? My guess that it does. That's not, that's clear that it does. Why does it? It seems to me because of it's stiff, and in one thing the light hits it in a way that it reflects back without causing any shadows. I think that's the reason why that happens. Yeah, but makes it look whiter. No, the beged looks better. It looks whiter when it's not creased. And if you ask your wife, she'll tell you exactly why all this happens. But probably they don't know either. But they don't. This is it seems to be so. Now, a person has beg day pishton, so a person would rub it, and so to speak, like iron it. He would sometimes fashion it with his hands, and that would give it, I'm going to use the word, an effect. I don't have a better word to use to explain what we're talking about. And that's obviously a Maisa Hedyet. Mutter l'mayach big day pishton b'yadayim achar kibus. You're allowed to
Smooth it out.
smooth it, right? Yeah. Why? Kedei lelabanam ulerachachon. So you're going to ask me, I'm trying to explain how could it be that this is malabanam. So I'm explaining that, and it makes it softer. It's just like they didn't have fabric softener, so this is how they did it. You're not allowed to do kishay bat yadayim, which we don't have that issue anyway. Now the next thing over here, as a rabbi, on Erev Pesach, this is probably from the top 5 questions I get asked every year, and it's usually there's some major fight between the husband and wife. You can hear in the background, and all I can do is laugh, as I always do, that the Yetzer Hara always knows where to make chumras where they don't exist. It's like a fascinating thing. The women are in a frenzy to make sure that they finish ironing on Erev Pesach before Chatzos, because you're not allowed to do malacha after Chatzos. This is, according to most opinions, Amaratzis Gemura. Not only are you allowed to iron after Chatzos, according to most opinions, you're allowed to iron on Chol Hamoed. Period. Now there is a minhag in Hungary that they didn't iron at all. The Chazon Ish was maybe makbid on it, but the simple halacha we're about to learn right now, and there's good reason that it's not done. I would like to just start with something very simple. Ladies have pleated skirts. My wife would never ask me to iron a pleated skirt. Okay? And even if I wore a kilt, I would not iron a kilt because pleats are what? Yeah, I mean it's you put it this way: if I ironed my pleats, you would know, right? That's so. The ironing that has to do with making creases, pleats in your pants. What's that called? The crease in your pants, right? Those kind of ironings, not ironings of straightening out. Those ironings are there and they stay a long time. Those are problematic. The ironing that we usually do, that men folk do, is your shirt, or something like that. That's benign. My sahedya, what?
Get the crinkles out.
Right. That's all you say. So if I was the one who was the rabbi in town, I would say it's probably worthwhile to do all your ironing beforehand, because invariably something's going to happen. Now, where will I say there's a place to watch out? The Mishnah Berurah really discusses it, but I would like to beforehand make something clear. In the olden days, they had shirts, and one would attach his collar to his shirt. The collar was not part of a shirt. It was a buttoned-on item, a finishing thing. Are you familiar with this? You aware of this? Okay, you've seen it. Okay. But that's how it was. Now, the collar of one's shirt, many times pressed, and it's pressed to hold it down over here, so you don't have it doesn't do this, it doesn't do, the collar is an issue, and the collar could be something which is usher to do on Chol Hamoed. So I'm going to tell you could iron your shirt, just not the collar. What are the chances that people are going to forget and do the collar? I don't know. So just saying, this is where rabbis sometimes have to say it's not worthwhile. They can't say it's usher because it's not usher, it's mutter. But we also have an obligation of lifneiver. So you have to, and the person who didn't come to this year wouldn't understand b'chlal what's the subject, though. In other words, you have to be informed to appreciate that what you're being told. So let's see right now the Shulchan Aruch. Umutter lahachlik begadim and schuchas kedarkan. You're allowed to smooth out your clothing with what we'll call an iron. Chol Hamoed. So it sounds good. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. You're allowed to smooth out the big day pishtim. Even though in Hilchos Shabbos it says also last came with the shipish and afilu b'cholak imiskavim k'dei labnoi oser. You're not allowed to do it if you're planning to make it look cleaner. Hacham mutter afilu miskavim labnoi, because it's not really the same kind of a halacha. I would just say as follows: when I teach Hilchos Shabbos, I do something which is illegitimate. I teach the halachas of kipul begadim together with libun, with cleaning clothing. Really, that's wrong. Kipul begadim has to do with makeh b'patish. It's a totally different malacha. But I still think I'm right. In other words, I'm teaching it there because that's where it belongs, even though technically it may be something else. Whereas it's part of the process of getting our clothes spiffy. So that's where it's taught over here. And this over here is a reflection of that kind of a concept, that even though in Shabbos it's an Issa D'Oraisa, here we don't see it as that, and we say that it's mutter. B'yadayim afilu mashakos l'kameh ba'ago hay b'yadayim lav dafka. You could even do it with a kli. Doesn't make a difference. Okay. Now this thing, the batei yadayim, this is what we're speaking about. These kind of creases that are embedded, that they're made to stay. They don't open up when you wear them. I would like to say that I have no understanding what I just read. In other words, if you would ask me, why is ironing a pleated skirt of Maisa Uman? Because you got to do it right. That's not what the Mishnah Berurah said. What the Mishnah Berurah said was that you have to, if to get it to stay, for that you need an Uman, which is a different point. You know, he obviously didn't have irons like we have today that blow steam at, I forget how many bars per second, you know, to do what it has to do. And it's no different to do, you know, as far as the permanence, not really much of an issue. But actually that's what it says. Well, if he's also the kamet ha'ana shekar la collar, be'etzim yichol mokach, you can't prepare your collar. Da'yedeze nisha kemat avke shalov shoy, when you wear it, it stays, the crease stays in. Just ironing is a maisa hedyet. V'chayadam hetik the mutar lachlika bekli kedarkon u'mashu desfilerei deschuches lavdavka for the star kelim harogal lahachlik behem. Anything you'll do with it, if he's a mutar lahachlik gam bekli bar zacholok shanoy v'chayatam lahachlik v'akol maisa hedyet hu. How did they have irons in the olden days? So just to fill you in, they had a flat piece of steel and they put it into a fire, and the iron was just a frame that held it, and they would slip it onto the iron and they would iron with it, and then they would, when it got cooled off, they would take that one off, put it back into the fire, take a different one. That's how it was done. Okay, anyways, next, this has to do with an issue which we discussed a little bit at a different time. Also, the sake mabusha v'nolav hakruim. V'chein also lo malahini lehud l'sakna. You're not allowed to fix your torn clothing. Now, if a person had a Shabbos suit and it ripped, and he would ask me, could I fix it? I would say just wear a weekday suit. That's what I would say. If a lady said to me, I ripped my Shabbos dress, and then I'd say, I wouldn't say wear a weekday one because that's not an option. I would say wear a different one. Then she'll say, but I don't have one. So I said, so wear the one you don't have. that could possibly work, right? In other words, I don't have one doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have one. It just means I don't have one that I want to wear, right? So you have to know what the. In other words, I'm not so ready to say when a lady asks that question, I tell a man just wear your weekday suit. He'll just say okay, and that's the end of the conversation. With the lady, whatever. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so here the halacha is also the socket. Doesn't make a difference when it ripped, but it's a malacha. That's also the socket. Ava pi she yiskaru yoisim lo yisakin. If you're not going to fix it, it's going to get worse. Aser. Now here's a fascinating thing, which is a machlokes about this. The lo mikri davra ovid. If it's going to get worse, but it's still going to be wearable, that's not called Dover Ovid. Dover Ovid means that my garment is going to get ruined. Okay? So in other words, let's say a person has a rip on his jacket over here behind behind. It's happened sometimes. People get a rip. So what's going to happen if you wear it a little bit more? It'll rip a little bit more. So it costs another 10 shekel for the chayat to fix it. Right? Now, if it's at a point, or it's sometimes in a place that you're afraid if you're going to continue wearing it, it's going to rip, not on the seam, and you're going to rip the material, and they'll become unfixable, that's a different question. So, because there, you're ruining the beged will be niskalkal. In other words, if it rips a little bit like that, you can't, it becomes unfixable, that's a different question. So, sometimes you get asked questions, and the people...
I have a question from Gershon Firm.
Okay.
He says, could it be that we see a differentiation here with Shabbos? He's talking about we are not to follow the halachas, for example, because it's a form of laundry. In the Chol Hamoed, the issue is related to a ma'aser uman, as following the halachas on the knis would not be an issue.
More or less, that's more or less correct, yeah. Okay. All right.
It's preventative, okay, like I said, for a button that's almost off.
We're gonna learn about buttons. We'll learn about. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
You're gonna have to wait. I'll just say, when you have buttons that are almost off, what do you want to do?
Add more thread to it so it doesn't come off.
What do you want to do? You're going to fix it totally, right?
Yeah.
No, that you're not allowed to do. Well, you can reinforce it that it shouldn't slip more. We'll see. We'll have to do buttons. Is fascinating. This is actually a sifra about that. All right. Okay. If they're going to rip and ganzen, then mutter. That's okay. But if you have other clothing, you don't say, well, I want to wear this and therefore I have to fix it. I want and I need in halacha are not recognized as the same thing, even though I'm sure in the Webster dictionary it is. Okay, v'da. Because as you asked before. Okay. That you can't do that either. That you can't give it to go. No, okay, if you need them, you can do a shinoi. Now, we're going to learn a little bit more about shinoi later on. This is more by my cotton. From this point where we are right now, I would say that forget it, because a shinoi has to look like you did a sloppy job, and a person's not going to wear it. It's not it's not really so nagaya. We'll learn more about it when we get to the simon of Parents' question. Okay. Next. I have no understanding of the next halacha from a practical side. In other words, I would never wear even a shirt that a non-professional made. Right? In other words, if Ari Waldman says, he'd like to do me a favor and he's going to make for me a shirt, I will not wear it. I will not wear it. Okay? Don't take it personal. I will not wear it. So I don't understand what we're about to say right now, but it seems that people were not so particular in those days. Misha tzach lo beged b'moed. You need something to wear. Im haya hedet. If the guy is a hedyet, ve'no mar ba'osim malacha, which I assume that you're not a proficient shirt maker. Hareza oisa kedarka. You can make me a shirt
way I normally do.
the way you normally do. Perhaps a little Rahman is a little better. V'mhaya uman mohir, but if the guy is a shirt fitter, hareza oisa oisa ma'aseh hedyet, he has to do it with a shinoi. The hainu sheyaseh tfiros v'chovos utfira achas l'mala v'achas l'mata k'shenei hakelev. That should be a zigzag kind of things. And that's the way Ari Walden's comes out all the time, even when you're trying to do it straight, right? No, this is, right? V'kol adam yachmer al atzmo litva b'shinei zeh v'loi mahani le'uman litva yedei sheishane b'achizas macha b'yadoi. It doesn't help like when you write to hold it in a natural way. Ela be'inin shinoi nicker, you need that the shinoi should be nicker in what's coming out, not just in the way that you're doing it. So again, I said I don't really understand this halacha, but not from a halachic point. I don't get it. I guess in those days, perhaps their clothing were less fitted or something. I don't know. Anyways, tinok shenoi la b'chag. Also, lasos lo begodim the covered the bris. V'lo mikrei tzorech hamoed lechvoid aviv lisa oisa lamilo. That it's not called. That's not a good reason. The yochel lekorcho b'chatich hashroim.
Born on the north.
Yeah.
How's the bris on the north?
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe she was born beforehand, but you need it for the bris. He was born on Erev Yontif, and it's the last day of Chol Hamoed. Something like that. All right. I lost my place. The Ochel Nefesh b'chatich sharaib. You could just swaddle him in a piece of cloth. You don't need to have it fitting. Ub'chayad l'stapek l'tzach litfor l'tzach hamoed ve'eno chutim b'ma litfor and muta litfor es chutim b'shvil zeh. Can you create strings? Or that's also called a ma'isuman esrevin. Head yedei nomar siman echad hu. The stam uman mahir. V'chomi sheyodea lahoitzi molay machad b'vasachas or she'lechaven imra b'sasa chaluka. You can match the things up. I guess they had no shablona and straight pins. People that could do it by themselves. Su'eni v'chal hedyet el uman v'dinu k'lekamei. Okay, whatever. Kol adam yachmer al atzmai. Kiro b'nei adam yocholim lahoitzi molay machad b'vasachas v'em b'chal uman. Most people, he says, are umnim. Ari. Okay. Shinu anikar. V'hani she nikar batvira atzmo v'loi be'inyan acher. It has to be nikar in the tfira that you did a lousy job. Okay? V'dad. The bein lahedyin oisa kedarka. Bein uman she'oisa ma'isa hedyet. Ene moter kim kishe'oisa la'atzmoi. All this is talking about when you are doing it for yourself, not in business. You're doing it as a favor. But if you're doing it for other people, b'schar, oser. In that case, which we'll see about that, but that's this nekuda. All right. Next, we're going to start the next siman, and the next siman is a fascinating thing. Perhaps before we start, I'll just ask a question. A person is a doctor, and somebody comes to him on Shabbos. Chol Nefesh. Is he allowed to charge him?
At the end of the day, I think he's allowed to charge him.
What's the question?
It's our Shabbos.
I would like to share with you something fascinating. Maybe we'll discuss this again next time too. There's a fascinating Jewish Tzitz Eliezer, which discusses, courtesy of Lev Seltzer, I became aware that this year Rosh Hashanah is going to be 3 days, right? So normally, when you have a 2-day yontif and you go to a hotel, you don't have a problem for paying for your room, because the secular calendar, how they charge, and the Jewish calendar of the yontif are not the same hours, so there's always a havla issue, and therefore there's not a problem. This only becomes a problem on 3-day yontif, because the middle day is sandwiched in between, and that's a problem. So how could a hotel charge you to stay there for 3 days? What's with Schar Shabbos? Okay, this is a question which is, there are many answers that are.
You usually do it as a package deal. You come Erev Yontif, you get for that. And what?
I'm not sure I understood the words that you said right now. You don't
They're
pay.
not charging you per day. They're charging you for a 5-day weekend or 4-day weekend.
Oh, okay. If they do it like that, then that's fine. But not all of them do it like that. So he discusses the fact that a person who's doing it is doing a mitzvah of hachnasas orchim. And
The owner? Or
The owner.
The owner.
the owner, and therefore perhaps he's allowed to charge. Now the backside of this concept, it's a fascinating concept in itself, the backside of this concept is a person who sells tefillin. So it says that he's oisig l'mitzvah poter min ha-mitzvah, even though he's only selling them. But let's say he's doing it for parnasa, and we'll use the example, he's a Chabadsker, right? So he's really, I'll just tell you, just because it's nice to know that there's still nice Jews out there. Yesterday I got a phone call for somebody who was on vacation, and he met a irreligious Jew that didn't have tefillin, and he gave him his tefillin, he wore his tefillin, and he asked him, if I buy you tefillin, will you wear them? And the man said yes. So the guy was on vacation with his child, so he said, okay, give me your address. Until then, keep my tefillin, and when I get back to civilization, I'll send you a pair, and then you'll send me mine back. Okay? Shimon, aren't you proud to be a Jew?
I wouldn't be proud of this in the situation. I just want to say, I doubt
But so I said, aren't you proud that there are people that do these kind of things? What?
Amazing story.
It happened 2 days ago. So Sachakol. Anyways, he met this fellow initially before Shabbos, and he asked me if he's allowed to invite him for Shabbos to where he's staying, and I asked, you have to find out how far away he was. We consider this is a 2 or 3 day thing. This we're up to, but there's a serious question about why you're doing it. You're doing it for business, or you're doing it for mitzvah?